Time now for our Entre Nous segment, and today we're talking about the Chinese New Year, some of its traditions and its place here in France. And for more on this, Solange Moujan joins me in the studio. Hello, Solange.
Hi, Annette.
Let's start with the whole name Chinese New Year. That's a complete misnomer, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Here in France, the celebration is most often called le Nouvel An Chinois, which translates as Chinese New Year. But it is, of course, celebrated across many, many nations, and it is wiser to call it, in English, the Lunar New Year. In China, the whole 15-day period is actually called the Spring Festival, and it has been since 1949 when it was reintroduced and made into a national holiday in China. In Vietnam, it's called Tet. In Korea, Seollal. It marks the beginning of the lunisolar calendar, which was developed in ancient China. Now, it's generally at any time between January 21st and February 20th, depending upon the new moon. Now, this year's festival begins February 17th. Now, it follows the 12-year Chinese zodiac calendar, along with a 5-element one. We've now entered in, therefore, to the year of the fire horse, which is meant to symbolize action, speed, energy. And this combination of fire and horse has not come around since 60 years or since 1966.
So let's dive into some of the folklore of this festival. Why are the colours red and gold so prominent?
Now, the myths and the traditions, they vary from region to region, from country to country. And in a minute, I'll get into how it's celebrated here in France, thanks to the very diverse Chinese and Asian diaspora here. But one of the more common and shared legends across nations is that of the monster Nian, which also means year in Mandarin. And the myth is that this monster Nian would come at the end of winter and eat livestock, but also villagers. And one of the versions of this myth says that it was an old man who told villagers not to run from and hide from Nian, but rather to make a lot of noise and to light bamboo sticks, which eventually became modern-day fireworks. They were also told to wear red because this mythical monster didn't like the color and would therefore stay away. Likewise, offerings outside of one's home and red banners to wish good fortune to those inside. And so to keep the monster away, those traditions emerged. So that's Nian. As for the gold, it is about wishing people well and for prosperity. And there is a tradition of red envelopes filled with cash, particularly to young people, to bring riches and to ward off evil spirits. There's also the cleaning of homes before the new year, but not in its first days. Also not cutting your hair in the first days, attending religious services as well. There are many, many rituals depending upon one's beliefs and traditions. Take, for example, this Vietnamese gathering for Tet.
You see here the offerings we've made for the Vietnamese Tet Festival. These flowers are decorations, but they also represent people's wishes. These fruit are 5 colours. They symbolise life, earth, water, fire and wood.
You've just explained to me, we were in Singapore for a few days last week and everything was in red and gold, even the fashion in the shop windows. So it's fascinating to know why that's the case. So let's dive into the festival here in France. It's hard to miss, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like with Ramadan, which is also beginning, the Lunar New Year is widely celebrated in France. Generic supermarkets stock up and advertise these holidays, as do specialty chains as well, like Tang Frere, Paris Store, Chen Market here in Paris. But for the parties and the parades and the festivals, you mostly have to go to areas where there are large Asian immigrant communities. And Paris has not one, but multiple Chinatowns. There's one in Belleville, which is made up largely of an economic immigrant community, namely from Wenzhou region of China. There's also one in the Third, which is the oldest. It's where World War I workers created a community there. There are also newer ones outside of the city, like in Marne-la-Vallée, in Pantin and in Aubervilliers, which is actually one of the largest import-export hubs of Europe for products, namely clothing made in China. But Paris's main Chinatown is in the 13th arrondissement. This triangular section of Southeast Paris is actually considered to be the largest Chinatown in Europe, even if initially its residents were not actually immigrating from China, but rather many were ethnically Chinese, but they were escaping from unrest and war from places like Cambodia, Laos, and especially Vietnam. And many of these refugees in the 1970s, including the boat people, moved into the newly constructed high-rises in the 13th, which Parisians were actually shunning at the time. So unlike other Chinatowns, Paris's Asian Quarter does not stand out because of a sculpted ark or lions. Rather, it's known for these modern high-rises and also an abundance of great restaurants. Now, many people who live there aren't necessarily of Asian origin today, but it remains a central gathering place, and parades and festivities have been held there for decades.
It's the tradition of my country. It's to party.
The New Year is the most important celebration in China. It's like Christmas here, so we really like it.
So be it on the 13th, be it in Belleville or across the country, as the ethnic Chinese community is thought to be between 600,000 and 700,000 people in France, or be it across Asia and countries around the globe, the Lunar Festival is all about gathering together and about feasting. Be it for whole fish for good luck, pudding for advancement, dumplings that look like gold bars for wealth, or, and this is my favorite from Singapore and Malaysia, there is a tradition of the prosperity toss, and this is where revelers gather around with chopsticks in hand, and they finally pull up chopped food, often vegetables or fish, and wish each other a happy New Year.
I'm not going to ask you to repeat that in Chinese,
No,
but
sorry.
thank you very much. That's Solange with Entre Nous. And those are the stories that we're covering for you here on France 24.